underpaid and undervalued as a public service worker or in the profession. And I'm not even going to put this as a gender base. It's not going to be for women only. This is for dedicated for everybody who work in these type of fields. It is a subject that we encounter throughout our careers as working for the public or working for a governmental. I'm specifically talking about those of us who work for a governmental agency. And being underpaid and also feeling like you're undervalued is really a frustrating topic. It's a frustrating thing to be in. Let me give you an example. I'm going to be transparent. In my particular profession, I'm a parole officer. So I work for the state of my state. My employer is the state. And so my position as a parole officer, we haven't received a raise in over 5 years, at least. At least over 5 years, we have not received any type of raise. And within that time period, there has been constant dramatic changes in our job description, in our duties. For those who understand and know what probation and parole officers do, our job is to reacclimate offenders who have been released from jail or from prison into mainstream society and make sure they are in compliant with their conditions of being on probation or parole. And with that comes with a lot of responsibilities. A lot of agencies who are probation officers, a lot of them do not carry a gun or firearm, but some do. I happen to be in parole and I am, required to carry a firearm. You encounter a lot of drama. You encounter a lot of things that, dealing with offenders. And not only that, you're dealing with not only the offenders, you're dealing with their partners. You have to deal with the families, and the offenders themselves are, a lot of them are very non-motivated. They have that criminal mindset. There are some, I'm not going to say all, but there are some who did their time and, get out and want to change and try to make an effort to do better than what they did before. But most of them, they're just so ingrained and so institutionalized to where no matter what you do, we think as normal, basic common sense, just don't do anything stupid. And, you'll get off probation or parole and then you can go on about your life. Just do what you're supposed to do and then you get off. But they, a lot of them don't. And we have to deal with this. We have to deal with the mental health piece of it. I mean, we're more than just supervision officers. We are social workers. We are counselors because, again, you've got to deal with not only them, you got to deal with family. There's always drama between the boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, and it's fine as long as their partner is benefiting from whatever they do, whether it's illegal or not. But as soon as they're not receiving the benefits, mainly either the offender decided to move on to another relationship or whatever, then that's when you get the phone call from the ex-girlfriend, the scorned girlfriend, and whatever. Oh, he's been doing this, he's been doing that. But you weren't saying that while you were with him and you were reaping the benefits of it. So you deal with all of that. Not only that, you deal with internal things. And anybody who knows, who work for the governmental agency, whether it's state, whether it's county or city, you deal with the politics. There's a lot of politics that goes on with those type of agencies. And we as employers and staff, we have to go along with that and deal with that type of stuff. But as far as having a raise, we need to be compensated more than what we have been. And so the state where I'm from decided to hire a consultant, outside agency, to come in and do a study to see, exactly what our job entails and how many hours do we spend out in the field, how many hours do we train, how many hours do we have contact with our offenders, and the whole gamut of our position and what we do. And they took the information. We all had to fill out a long, questionnaire to be very specific of what our job entails. And they took all that information that we submitted and they did a comparison supposedly a comparison to other states that are demographically similar to ours in our job descriptions, and to compare the salaries of what we make as to compare to the others of other states and who has a similar type job. And after all of that, it was concluded that we make enough money, that we are being adequately compensated for what we do. The problem with that was it was so imbalanced because the state that they took as a comparison to us were states that were economically lower as far as cost of living, and lower than what my state is, considered one of the poorest states in the country. I'm from the Midwest. I live in the Midwest area. So they took a southern state and compared a southern state to a Midwest state, and with the same population and demographics, supposedly. It was just so imbalanced. Of course, we're going to make more. Of course, we're making more money than this particular southern state because this southern state is one of the economically poorest state in the union. So of course, you look at that statistic. Of course, we're making good money compared to the average economic denying our raise. So, needless to say, we are very frustrated. We feel that we have a union that is worthless. And, what do? We have, I think in our contract, we have a no strike clause. So you can't, I think, I may be wrong, but I think there's a no strike clause. Another option is, which I've already done, was stop paying union dues. By law, I'm still entitled to representation, even though I don't pay union dues. I'm still, they still by law have to represent me if I need union representation. But I quit paying union dues about 2 years ago. And I think a lot, and so it has a lot of other people. And I think after this hard blow of knowing that we're not going to receive anything, you know, a raise or anything, I think a lot of people will stop, opt out of the union. And I think once that hits, obviously, when you hit the pockets, deep pockets, then it's going to be an issue. Then it's going to be a problem. Then they might want to try to stand up and be an advocate for us because up at this point, they haven't done anything really. And I've always said unions are a double-edged sword. They're good for one thing, but yet they don't benefit you in other aspects. So it's like a double-edged sword. But I wanted to, discuss my personal experience of feeling undervalued by my employer. And I work for the state. And just the fact that you feel like after all the hard work, and we put hard work, we're overloaded with cases because as a parole officer and probation, you have a caseload. We are short staffed. People are to the point now that they can't pay anybody to want to become a parole officer at this point. And it wasn't like that back in the day. Years and years ago, working for parole and being a state parole officer was the position to be in. Now they have to go from outside to try to get people in. And even then, they're not getting the quality of people that is needed to fill these positions. And also, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of my colleagues who have put their retirement on hold, hoping that maybe with a raise, they will feel a little more better and more appreciated in their jobs. Well, now that's not going to happen. There's going to be a lot of people going to be seeking retirement and early retirement and seeing they can just get out of the agency, which I definitely do not blame them. I'm doing some heavy thinking of what options do I have, because I'm not going to spend the rest of my time and life in a position where I'm feeling miserable. I've been in law enforcement field, in the legal field, for over 33 years. And, while I still have my faculties and, strength and health, I don't want to spend the rest of my working days miserable. Things are different now. It's not like it used to be in, 30 years ago. it's a lot more difficult in dealing with our jobs, and then dealing with the public themselves. When you're dealing with the public, it's definitely a challenge because you're dealing with a lot of people, populations who are suffering from mental health issues and are not receiving the services that they deserve and need. And so you have a lot of people out here who could snap off at any given moment. And, our job is to try to protect the community. And we're putting our, selves on the line, our safety on the line every day in our jobs. Even if you're in healthcare, people are just desperate, and it's like every man for themselves at this point. So I want to hear from you who may experience similar frustrations, similar situations as I have. Or maybe you are in a work for an agency that cares about you and you feel that you are well compensated for your job. I want to hear, that piece too. I want to hear that, because if that's true, if you are in a position that feel like you're feeling good going to work and you know that you're feeling valued, that's considered a rarity. That's a rarity. And I definitely want to hear from you. How does that feel? Because I don't feel that way. And there's, I'm sure there's a lot of other colleagues and professional people out here who don't feel that way as well. We got into these type of professions for a reason. And that's basically, of course, we knew that we're not going to get rich with this type of job, but we did it because we care about wanting to help people, wanting to help our community, and to be a protector of our community. But after a while, it really wears and tears on you mentally and a lot of times physically. Another blow is you're getting more power work on you, all these different changes in procedures, and you're being, dumped on more work, but then your pay is not being raised. More work with less pay, which definitely brings the morale down. And they wonder why people are quitting or going to other agencies or going to other type of employment. So if anybody out here in the audience who would love to be a guest on my podcast, because this is a conversation I would like to continue, and I would love to have a colleague in whatever profession, whether you're a social worker, in the healthcare field, or you're officer, law and police, probation, parole, you're in corrections, if you're a corrections officer, any of those type of professions. And if you would like to be a guest on my podcast and, talk about your experience and how you feel, I understand you don't have to be very specific of where you work. I'm an entity, because you still work there. You can just, be generic. What type of profession are you in? Just talk about the experience that you are dealing with, underpaid or undervalued, or the opposite, or you feel that you are valued in your job and that you are adequately compensated for the work that you do. I want to hear from you. You can see on the ticker there, you can reach out to me by emailing me at publicsafetybywomen@gmail.com. Just reach out to me and I will definitely respond and gather information, and so we can talk about bringing you on for our next continued discussion of this matter on our next podcast episode. But in closing, I just want everybody to realize, from me to you, that you are valued. Sometimes we have to look within ourselves. We have to get our value and our appreciation within ourselves. We can't, wait till someone else give us a pat on the back. If you know that you are doing your job to your ability, then that's all anybody can ask for. I say that you're definitely valued. Your position and what you do every day is definitely valued. And I also encourage everybody to please take care of yourself first. My whole podcast, even though it's talking about, being women in these type of position, I want to say this for everybody who works in these fields. We have to come to a conclusion of finding ways to take care of ourselves first, because nobody else is going to do it. Nobody can take care of ourselves better than we can. And we know what our needs are, and we know how to take care of ourselves, either, physically and as well as mentally. That's crucial, especially in times like this. We have to be very vigilant of our surroundings. At the end of the day, you want to come home to your family. And honestly, I'm not going to put myself out there and go above and beyond if I don't have to. My goal is to come home the way I left. I am trained, to defend myself, and it is what it is. It's either me or you, and I will do what I need to do. I hope it will never come to that, but it is what it is. I'm putting myself out here, as you are, in a lot of compromising and dangerous situations. So you have the right to defend yourself and do what you have to do to make sure that you come home to your family. So with that being said, I'm going to end it here. Also, I want to invite you, women, to my Facebook group, www.facebook.com/women in public safety. Just a private group. Require you to ask a few questions, and please answer those questions, and you will be approved to be a part of the group. And I'm trying to do some things that are beneficial for us. Created that group for a safe space for all of us to come together and kind of support each other in what we are dealing with: stress management. We as women, we carry a lot of load, not only as we have to be employees and our staff as our what we do for the public, but we are also mothers, we are partners, we are, caregivers to family. And most of the time, a lot of time, we put ourselves on the back burner to take care of everybody else, which is why I say, you have to take care of yourself first. So I opening the invitation for you to join the private Facebook group. And it's, again, just search Women in Public Safety and it'll pop up, and then answer the membership questions and you will be approved. So with that being said, I'm going to leave with this note: trust in yourself, take care of yourself, and please stay safe. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye.